Hello, everyone. This is our weekly Backdrop developers meeting where we review topics related to Backdrop Core. This is Thursday, November 17th. We meet every week for this meeting at this same time UTC. As our practice, we will go around the room with everyone giving an introduction, give your name, your internet handle if it's different, and where you're from. If you want, you can say a few words about what you're working on. I will start. I'm Robert Lang, bug folder on the internet from Altadena, California. Lately, I've been just working on contrib projects and some infrastructure. And then I'll pass the mantle over to Joseph, and each person call on whoever you want to follow you. So take it away, Joseph.
I'm a developer from Las Vegas, Nevada, and yeah, I've been working on completely scripts that tells you the likelihood of, or tells you what the most likely next word you should enroll is. A game about word.
Joseph, you're fading in and out right now, so we're only
Okay.
catching half of what you're saying.
Sounds interesting, whatever it is, but I can't quite work out what it is.
It's a script that essentially plays game, but it is totally unnecessary, and we should probably be working on something useful.
Sounds fun.
Maybe Jim, you want to go next?
Sure. Again, if you were still talking, Joseph, we lost you. My name is Tim Erickson. I'm in Deerwood, Minnesota. I'm a member of the Backdrop Project Management Committee, and yeah, just involved in a bunch of things. I've been a little bit busy lately, so I haven't been doing as much in the core issue queue, but looking forward to finding some time in the coming weeks. Martin, I think you're last.
Yeah, I'm Martin Price in Northeast England, Yorkshire Pudding around the Backdrop internet sites and GitHub. And I've mostly been working in Contrib on the B tool and a few other Contrib modules. So yeah, that's all.
Okay. We also have Roberto, who can't talk right now, but is watching us from Mexico, and he's a Drupal 7 and 8 developer that wants to learn a little bit about Backdrop. Yeah, Joseph. So Joseph, Nate usually runs these meetings, and Nate is not available this week. Joseph was hoping to take over. He's having a little audio trouble, but I don't know, Joseph, do you want to try one more time and see how things go?
Sure. So we have 3 new projects. I'm looking at the wrong agenda. 3 new projects that were released in the last week. The Simple SAML authentication.
Yay. I'm assuming we lost Joseph again.
Am I back?
We heard, am I back?
Okay.
We heard nothing after Simple SAML.
Maybe someone else should do this.
Yeah.
Probably not going to get better.
Okay. I'll just jump in, and this could be a fairly short meeting today. Also, we do have, because we have Roberto joining us, if he has any questions about just in general about Backdrop, we'll be happy to answer those. And Roberto, feel free to just type them into Slack. Again, the normal purpose of this meeting is we kind of go through issues in the issue queue that people are having and things we can unstick. Joseph had gathered together the next, so we list recently released contrib projects where the Simple SAML authentication module. We heard Joseph mention that one. Also, there's a bank transfer module. I believe that's an UberCart module.
Yeah.
Is that yours, Robert?
No, it's actually it's RG Pianos.
RG Piano.
Put it together.
Okay, and then we have a module called registration, confirm email address. I should have looked to see who the maintainers were on each of these.
That was,
Robert
that was the
Garagos.
one that was discussed in, I think someone had mentioned it, so I wonder who's released that.
What, the bank transfer or the other one?
No, the registration confirm email address, because I think that's the one.
Yeah, that's Robert Garagos.
Garrigos.
Garrigos. Yeah. I don't know exactly how to pronounce his name. He's a longtime contributor, maintains
Yeah.
it. I believe he's from Barcelona. Yeah, so those are the big announcements. We don't have a lot of announcements. Next week at this time is going to be Thanksgiving in the US. Sometimes we go ahead and have meetings because obviously not everybody in the world is celebrating Thanksgiving, but we can expect a dramatic lack of participation from the US next week. I would say that people should not plan on there being regular meetings. What we have sometimes done is just sort of left the room open, and if people want to gather, those people who aren't celebrating Thanksgiving want to gather and chat about backdrop, they can during this time slot. But I would not plan on a regular scheduled meeting next week because I think all of us that usually lead the meetings will be involved in, a holiday here in the US. Robert's asking a question right now. We're going to come back to that in a minute, Robert. Roberto, I'm sorry. We have a Robert and a Roberto here today. There were no, we have every week there's a post in the forum where people can put issues that they want to talk about. So if you're having an issue in the core issue queue and you're kind of stuck and you would like us to talk about it during one of our weekly meetings, please go to the forum and find the notice for the weekly meeting and add your comment. We only had one comment, I believe, and that was covered in our last meeting. So we don't have any new
there were
agenda.
actually two
are there
comments, both by me. And the second one was about the developer meeting, which was, it was really a kind of a sort of a development best practice based on a few issues that I've found working in Contrib, and I haven't found anything referencing it in the documentation. So I just really wanted to wanted to sort of discuss that.
I'm going to share the screen so we can look at so this will be the post?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and you go ahead and describe the question and we'll see if
so it's possible when you're doing control things to do things which are called truthy or falsy, which is basically it's a kind of implicit true or false. So basically if it can't find anything, if it can't find anything, then it's false, and if some value is populated, then it's true. And there's more information, so like 0 or null would be falsy. And I've come across it a few times, particularly where it's referencing a key from an array, where someone has written it in a truthy falsy way, and it causes an error if it can't find it, and then changing it to be explicitly true or explicitly false gets rid of the error. But I couldn't find anything in the docs, and I just wonder whether there, from a developer best practice point of view, and I guess Joseph is probably the most qualified, is there a position, is there a best practice on truthy falsy versus explicitly true false?
think that, hopefully you guys can hear this. But I think that normally when you're just like an array or a string, then it'll work fine. But if you're checking sub elements of an array or an object, then you can get really weird errors. Like in this, it's pretty straightforward, just an undefined index. But
Yeah.
I think if you're checking an element within an array or within or a property of an object, I would not do that. Just in general.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know if we've defined that anywhere in our coding standards.
I didn't find anything referencing truthy falsy terminology, and I didn't find anything in the control block that specifically mentioned it.
Yeah, I think normally when I'm writing code, I explicitly use the empty function to check that stuff, and I'll treat empty as false and not empty as true.
Mm-hmm.
That just feels like it has less errors to me.
Yeah. Would empty, so if it's simply, if that particular key wasn't defined, would that still work? Because does empty imply that it's there but it's null, or would empty work if that key, would empty return false if that key isn't there?
Hang on one moment. I will try this right now. It didn't give me an error when I tried to do empty on a non-existent element, so I think you're good with that.
Okay.
So I think
helpful to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does in the docs. It doesn't mention about doing explicit, and it's possibly should if we can work out what needs writing. But no, it's helpful to understand the best practice, and I think where I'm replacing that, I'm probably doing the right thing. But I will try. I'll try empty in those scenarios as well.
Can I, another comment, that particular example, I would take your whole ternary and actually wrap it in parentheses as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think in 8.2 they're actually going to drop support for nested ternaries that don't have parentheses.
I best do that then, so we don't have more. There's possibly quite a few of those in B, so might be quite a task to do that, but I'll certainly look at that. Thank you.
Tim
Gonna have.
He's been talking.
I'm gonna have to go. Now, so unless there's anything anyone wants me for.
I think you're good.
Cool. Right. Have a good Thanksgiving, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you, Martin. So I've been muted and talking, and obviously nobody heard me. So I apologize for that. Okay. Rob is still there. That's great. I'm going to quit sharing my screen. It doesn't, I don't think we have any other core issues, and I'm inclined to not try to make any up right now. Maybe we could chat. Rob has asked 1 or 2 questions in the chat, and we could just have a general chat about backdrop with him. And then maybe in the meeting early.
I have a core issue, but I'm not sure anybody can help me with it.
Do you want to just mention it quickly?
It's the cache tags thing.
Yep.
That issue still needs review. There is no user interface for the cache system, so
Right.
I would need someone who understands how to configure cache pins to be able to test that.
Okay, is this like a sub issue, or is this your big cache tags issue? Is that
This is the main cache tags issue. Basically, there are new cache types now, and you have to be able to like test with one and with the other and make sure that things still act the way you expect them to for like getting data and editing data and re-getting it.
So you just need somebody to review the code.
Yes.
And
Yes.
there's probably only a couple of people available that can do that right now. So we'll leave it for them. If anybody's listening to the meeting and they can help Joseph with that, that would be great. Anything else from the core issue queue?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Well, I think we should just go on. So we have a special guest at our meeting today, Rob from Mexico, who, as I introduced before, is a Drupal 7.8 developer who I think, Rob, tell us in chat, have you done any backdrop yet? Have you built any backdrop sites? Well, I'm waiting for a reply. No, Rob hasn't done any backdrop sites yet, but he's just asking us about the market for migrating Drupal 7 sites to backdrop. I have some thoughts, but I don't know, Joseph or Robert, do either of you have any general thoughts about the market for migrating Drupal 7 to backdrop?
I feel like there's a lot of people who would like to move to backdrop, would like at least an option to get off Drupal 7, but either don't know about backdrop or like a module they depend on is not available yet, and so they're kind of stuck.
Sure. I can give the quick high level. I mean, probably most backdrop sites have been moved from Drupal 7, Rob. Not all of them. So I currently maintain about 6 backdrop sites for clients, and 1 or 2 of them are new sites, just built in backdrop. Probably 4 of them are upgraded sites, and I have other sites in the works. We, as a community, we have primarily been targeting our sort of outreach and marketing efforts at Drupal 7 site owners. However, I think what Joseph just said is that reaching Drupal 7 site owners is the big obstacle. So a lot of Drupal 7 site owners don't know about us. And so we're trying to do a better job of getting the word out to them. We do have a marketing committee whose job it is to sort of try to identify and get the word out about backdrop. But definitely we consider backdrop to be an option for people with Drupal 7 sites that don't want to go to Drupal 8.9 right now. And that is primarily most of our activity is people like that. And people are either upgrading, doing direct upgrades, or just sort of copying and pasting and, building a backdrop site and moving their data into it, because backdrop from a user interface is very much like Drupal 7 in most respects, with a few exceptions, and the big one being the layout system is quite different from Drupal 7. So I see that you're doing research on a migration. Just so to be clear, we do have, when there is an upgrade process, you can upgrade your Drupal 7 database to backdrop, and we should drop a link. Robert, would you be able to find the link to the upgrade page, that's sort of the high level overview on how to upgrade a Drupal 7 site, and drop that in chat?
Sure, just taking a look. Upgrade overview. There we go.
Do you have, does that answer your question at all, Rob? And or do you have any follow-up questions? I will say for folks that are like new to Backdrop and have, yeah, if you're new to Backdrop and you have questions, our weekly office hours, which are they start 2 hours earlier than this meeting. A lot of questions. Here's Robert. This meeting is mostly about like developing at the core level. If you just have general questions about updating your site, and you could come next Wednesday or any Wednesday at 1 o'clock Central Time in the U.S., which might be similar to what you have in Mexico. Or check the events page. I'll put a link to the events page. And that's just an informal chat where we answer people's questions about Backdrop. And we have volunteers there. And if you're trying to do an upgrade and you're having any problems, it would be great to bring those questions to our office hours. Also use the forum. The forum is a great place to ask questions. And we usually get answers, or people usually reply to them. You'll also, if you search through the forum, you're going to find a lot of questions that other people have asked about their upgrades. So it sounds to me from the chat that Robert has other questions, but he's thinking, or that he will be having them, and he'll be maybe coming to future meetings to ask them. I'll share the link in just a minute, Rob. But I think we're gonna end the streaming part of this meeting. Apologize for everybody a little bit for the chaos. Again, Nate and Jen are on the road this week. They will be, let's assume no meeting next week, unless you want to come and hang out. I would check in Zulip, our chat channel, to see if anybody wants to meet next week. And then, so 2 weeks from now, we will be meeting at the same time. And presumably Nate will be back and can handle your questions. Rob, hang around a minute. I will put the links that I promised you in the chat right after I end the stream. Anybody else? Last thing?